microphone. All right, everybody, hello. Welcome to Build and Package Lightning Components for the Lightning Exchange. My name is Emily Hudson. I am an ISV technical evangelist. I've been with Salesforce in this role for 2 years now. For those of you not familiar with technical evangelist, we help our partners build successful apps for the App Exchange and now components for the Lightning Exchange. We are partnered with a group of partners, and we help them throughout their entire life cycle with us from the beginning of the partnership all the way through all the versions of their apps. And now I'll pass it over to Valerie to introduce herself.
And hi, everyone. My name is Valerie. I've also been on the ISV team in Salesforce for 2.5 years now. And over the past few years, we've been able to witness and be a part of monumental launches like Salesforce One Mobile, Wave, and now Lightning. And Emily and I are really excited to talk to you all today because we envision incredible success with the explosion of Lightning and our partners.
All right, so now that you guys know who we are, we want to get to know who y'all are. So raise your hand if you're a Salesforce developer. Probably everyone here. All right, great. Raise your hand if you've ever built a Lightning component. Okay, not bad. Raise your hand if you've built a Lightning component and then put it on the Lightning Exchange. Okay, no one yet. Well, my goal here today is that all of you guys leave here ready to do just that, to put your Lightning components that you've built on the Lightning Exchange for distribution. So let's dive in. You guys are all familiar with the slide, I'm sure. Basically, please make all purchasing decisions based on what's currently available. We might be making some forward-looking statements, so keep that in mind. So today we're going to talk through this 6-step process. First, we're going to talk about considerations when building your Lightning component, things to keep in mind. Then we're going to talk about different types of packages, and packaging is our way to allow for distribution of Lightning components. Then we're going to talk about security review. Security review is a super important step of this process, and this ensures that components that are on the Lightning Exchange are secure. Then we're going to talk about tools that are available to help you guys distribute Lightning components to customers. We'll talk about how partners can install the Lightning components into their orgs. We'll also talk about how to manage your customers once they've installed your component. Something to note is that a lot of this presentation will talk about post the Lightning component being built. So if you guys want to learn exactly how to build components, there are tons of sessions throughout this conference that will cover that. But we're going to talk about mostly the packaging and distribution part of this process. So Lightning components, I'm sure that's a word that's been said here a lot today. These are building blocks of apps, so they can be combined to create apps. This opens up a whole entire new way of thinking about building on the app cloud because of the reusing, the sharing, and the scalability. Basically, you won't have to start from scratch ever again. You can reuse components, you can reuse your own components, other developers' components. You guys are all this tight-knit developer community, so this is just our way to help you guys help each other, essentially. So again, Lightning components can be part of your own app as an ISV. So some of our ISVs, independent software vendors, currently have apps on the App Exchange. They can look through their app and say, oh, I want to make that part of my app a Lightning component. I want to make my app Lightning ready, so they can add Lightning components to their own apps, or you can build standalone Lightning components that other customers can install into their apps to enhance their functionality. So there's 2 different types of uses of Lightning components. We'll mainly focus on the standalone Lightning component way of doing things. So how many of you have used the App Exchange? Okay, good. So you guys already know how to use the Lightning Exchange. It works the exact same way. There's listings, there's a Get It Now button, customers install it into their orgs, you can write reviews, you can have trials, everything's there that comes with the App Exchange. So you guys are already on your way. The Lightning Exchange is a tool through which you can share, sell, and buy through packaging, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So how do you get to list your Lightning components that you've been building on the Lightning Exchange? One way to do that is to join the ISV program. So the ISV program will provide you with tools throughout this whole entire process to make it really easy to list your components and then have them distributed to customers. As you can see here, the ISV team is growing exponentially, and these are all partners who are already building Lightning components, so you guys would be joining a thriving ecosystem. Great, so I've introduced the concept of packaging and distributing Lightning components, but before we get there, we have to build Lightning components, right? So I'm going to talk about things you need to consider when building Lightning components. First of all, something to note is that not all types of Lightning components will work on every single page the customer's admin drags them onto. This is really important because you want your customer's experience with your component to be the best ever. You don't want to get a bad Lightning Exchange review from your customer who doesn't know where to put your component. So there's two different types of component. What do I mean by that? There's global components and record scoped. Global components are not context specific. That means they look the exact same wherever they're placed. For example, a calculator. A calculator will look the same on whatever page it's put on. Another example is a company hierarchy. So say you want to have like an org chart as a component. A customer could put that in their org, and it could use that org's data and then display the org chart or the company hierarchy, but that would look the exact same whether it's on an opportunity page, an account page, or whatever. Something to note is that global components can use data from orgs, but the data doesn't change, if that makes sense. So record scoped components, on the other hand, they're context specific, which means whatever page they're on, they display data that's scoped to whatever record that is. So the data changes based on where they are. For example, this is a USA heat map, and if this component was placed on the account record page, if the account was located in California, the California state would be heated. If the account was from North Carolina, it would have North Carolina state heated. So it depends, it changes based on the context. So these are the 4 different places that the admins of your customers can drag your Lightning components. Something to note is that global components will work on all of these pages. So if you make a global component, which again displays the exact same data wherever it's placed, it will work on all of these pages. Record scope components will only work on a few. So the options are the record homepage, community page, app homepage, and then the Lightning app. And I'll talk about each of these. So the record homepage, this is the page that shows up when you click into a record, whether that record is a standard object or a custom object. This is that landing page for that record. This screenshot shows the view of the customer's admin, and your component, I don't know if I'm standing in front of it, but your component is over here, and the admin would drag your component wherever it makes sense on the page for them. So both global and record scope components work in this situation. Then there's the community page layout, which you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with communities. And again, both of these types of components will work on the community page layout. Then there's the app home. This is the landing page for your users of your app when they log into your app. So this is the first page they see. And only global components will work on this page, which kind of makes sense because it's not scoped to a record, so record scoped wouldn't make sense here. There's no underlying record there. And then the 4th example is a Lightning app, which is similar to that app homepage we just saw, but all the functionality is just contained within this app, so there's no other pages involved. It's just everything's here. And this is, again, also comprised of only global components. So something to note, when I say you want to make your customers aware of what works on what page, this is something for you guys to, first of all, put in your listing for your component. So put in the description, like, please drag my component onto these following pages. Or if it's a global component, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're making a record scope component, list which pages make sense for that. And then also, something that some of our developers have done, which I think is really cool, and I suggest everyone does this, you can build logic into your component so that the component figures out where it's being placed. If it's put on a community page, it'll work. But if it's put on like an app homepage and there's no record in the back end, put some logic in there to figure out where it is and then say this page will not work on this page type, or this component will not work on this page type. That way the admin will see it right when they drag it on, and it won't break during runtime. So something to note, that's something that I suggest you guys all do. This doesn't come out of the box with Salesforce, but that's something, kind of a hint. So the next section, once we've built our component, we package and distribute our component. This is the process, and we're going to start with step 5, which is installing the component. This is the nirvana, right? Everyone here wants the customer to, at the end, install their component. So we're going to talk about what that looks like from a customer's perspective. And Valerie's going to show, as the customer, how she would install a Lightning component from the Lightning Exchange.
All right, thanks, Emily. So I'm just going to play the role of the customer now, and let's say that I'm the admin of the customer, and I'm logged into my Salesforce production environment in the new Lightning experience. So I'm getting feedback from my sales reps saying that they'd like an easy way to contact their deal desk teams to help them close deals. And these sales reps, they primarily work from the opportunity object. So as an admin, what I can do is go over to this gear bar here and edit this page, which brings up the Lightning App Builder, where I can drag and drop different standard components, any custom components that I've made. So as an admin, I'm pretty well versed with the Salesforce platform, but I'm certainly no developer. So I know that I can build a Lightning component to meet my sales reps' needs, but my dev team is stretched very thin right now, so why don't I check the Lightning Exchange to see if there are any components out there that I can install. So I'll click Get More on the App Exchange, which brings up the App Exchange Marketplace, specifically the Lightning Exchange for components. So here's where I can search for and view details about a myriad of components that are out there today. So in the search bar, I can search for a generic term. So let's say phone, for example, and see what search results come up. Okay, not too bad so far. This speed dial component strikes me initially, so let's take a look at this. You can view the details and the previews. I mean, I think looking through these details and screenshots, my sales reps would be ecstatic to have this in their arsenal, so I can click Get It Now and install this in my production environment. So I've done so already here for the sake of the demo, so let's go back to my Lightning App Builder. And on the left panel here, you can see that under this custom managed section, the speed dial component now shows up from my installation on the Lightning Exchange. So I can drag this over to the Lightning App Builder canvas where I want it to sit within the opportunity page. And on the right side is the properties pane where I can set some attributes and configure different parameters. So I'll set this as call deal desk and set a number. Deal now. Perfect. I'll save this. I'll go back to my opportunity record. I believe I've saved it. And refresh that to eliminate any caching. Let's ignore that. And let's see what the results show up.
Yay.
Okay, bam. Our Lightning component now sits there. As an admin, I didn't have to do any configuration at all except configure the page from the Lightning App Builder. So now I can equip my sales reps, whether they're using their workstations here, to use this Lightning component to contact their deal desk teams, which either launches the dialer from my FaceTime or Skype application. And if I do some minimal configuration, I can also enable this Lightning component for mobile so that they can do this on the go.
That's awesome. That was so easy to identify the need, search on the App Exchange, and then find the component that fits. Great job, Valerie.
Thank you.
All right, so now you guys saw how easy it is. That's the end goal. How do we get there? So let's take a step back, go back to the beginning of the process. After you've built your component, you have to package your component, right? And again, packaging pertains to, in this case, specifically standalone components. I'm going to be talking about components on their own that can be added to customers' apps. So there's two different types of packages. There's unmanaged packages and managed packages. If you put your component in an unmanaged package, you cannot charge for your component. It always has to be free. Also, you cannot upgrade your component. So the first version is the last version. If you find a bug, that's too bad. You can't upgrade your component with an unmanaged package. Also, there's no IP protection. So that means when your customer installs your component into their org, they can see all of your code. Again, this isn't ideal, and we don't allow this type of package for the Lightning Exchange. So you will be using a managed package. Managed packages, you can either charge your customers or they can be free. You can upgrade your component based on new versions or bugs or whatever. You can choose the price structure. So you can either have a one-time price or yearly you can charge for your customers. There's also Checkout, which is a tool through which you can charge your customers for your component. And then also you can reap all the benefits of the ISV program. So this includes push upgrades, which is a way for you to push an upgraded version of your component to your customers. They don't have to do anything on their side. They log in, it's a new version without the bug. So super cool tool. There is a license management app, which I'll talk more about later, but that gives you insight into your customers, which licenses they're using, which versions of your component they're using. There's also the subscriber support console, which is a way for you to log into your customer's org to troubleshoot or see anything. If they give you access, you can log into their org. So really cool tools that are all benefits of the ISV program. So now we've decided which package we're going to choose, which is the managed one in this case. And now we have to submit for security review. As you know, trust is Salesforce's #1 value. That's what we talk about all the time. Our customers' data needs to forever be protected. And your component has to uphold the exact same security standards as Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, all of our other product offerings. So in order to ensure that your component is super secure, it has to pass security review. Basically, during security review, we go through your component, make sure there's no vulnerabilities, make sure a hacker couldn't get in there and mess something up. And basically, we prepare your component for enterprise-level customers by giving it this stamp of approval. So how do you pass security review? Well, there's a few considerations that are on this link, this bit.ly link, LC-security. But some of them are you should test for OWASP top 10, which is the top 10 vulnerabilities that we see most often. So make sure that your component upholds those. Also, you need to test for record and field level security. So that has to be enforced. And then some other considerations for a security review. If you're distributing a component and you're charging for it, you have to pay for a security review, and it's $1,000 per component or per component bundle. So it's $1,000 per listing, whether it's an individual component or a group of components. Also, in order to submit for security review, you have to create a test environment with everything set up and configured. So the testers on the Salesforce side have to log in, and everything's ready to go for them. So that's part of the process. You guys have to set that up. Also, something to note, third-party frameworks are not supported in Lightning components. So those of you who raised your hand for you've already started building Lightning components, this is something to be aware of. Third-party libraries are supported, and frameworks are not. So keep that in mind. Something else that's new for those who have already started building Lightning components is Lightning Locker Service. Lightning Locker Service, essentially, it allows all the components to play nicely on the same page. For example, if an admin drags your component and his component and they put them on the same page, this ensures that one component doesn't break the other component. It eliminates DOM scraping vulnerabilities, and we call it locker service because it essentially puts everything in a locker or a sandbox or a safe space so everything works together as it should. All right, so now you've passed security review. Now you can distribute your component. This is the most exciting phase because it's right before the customer installs your component. And Valerie's going to show a demo of what it means to distribute a Lightning component and what the partner has to set up on their side in order to enable this distribution.
Okay, thanks again, Emily. So now I'm going to switch roles and play the role of the developer of the ISV. So I'm logged into my developer edition environment, and I'm also going to use this environment to create my managed package. So one thing to note here, you'll notice that we're in classic mode. This is because packaging functionality isn't yet supported in the Lightning experience, so we're going to remain in Salesforce Classic for the parts of this demo. So what I can do as the developer is launch the developer console here. And like Emily mentioned earlier, creating a new Lightning component, I can choose the different display types mentioned earlier about which pages I want the component to be intended for. So my hello world component, for example. This is a new feature that launched in summer 16. So this new component and the feature that we were able to select the configurations for implements these interfaces automatically, as well as the global access for this component. So since we've already built our simple speed dialer component here, I'm ready to package. But before we do so, what I'll do is create a simple Lightning app from the app builder. Now, the app builder is typically used for customers to create their own Lightning pages and customize record home pages or record pages, actually. But we, as ISVs, can also build our own Lightning apps and distribute them with our managed package. So in doing so, I'll create a simple Lightning app and call it, let's say, Quick Access. So I want to add my speed dialer component that I just made, drag it on. Let's add some rich text and call it Quick Access. So again, thinking of my sales reps, they can call their deal desk teams, and let's say a filter list of accounts, for example. Okay, we'll save this. And now this is a Lightning app that's created. We don't need to activate it since it's not meant for our users in the developer edition environment. What we can do is finally go back to the setup menu and start building our package. So under the setup menu is the packages section. So you'll want to launch that there. And you'll see here that in order to create a managed package, I need to designate a namespace prefix, which is unique across all Salesforce environments. And this is a requirement of creating managed packages. So what I can do is create a new package now and set this to be managed. And I'll name this my speed dial component. Let's save that. And what I want to do next is add the components necessary that I want to include in this managed package to distribute out to my customers. So since I made that Lightning app earlier, all I need to do is add that. So this is the Lightning page, Quick Access. Let's add it to my package. And what it'll do is automatically retrieve those dependencies. So the Lightning component bundle that we had built, the Lightning component, any JS libraries, Apex classes in the back end that it references will be pulled in with any dependencies from the Lightning page or any other components that you build. And that's it. All we need to do now is click Upload to start this package. And I guess we have some attributes that we need to fix. But for the sake of this demo, we're going to ignore that here. And it's a simple click of a button to upload this managed package, which will generate a URL. And essentially, all you need to do after that is listed on the Lightning Exchange. So what we're going to do now is switch over to where you want to begin the process of listing that. And we're going to switch over to the publishing console of the partner community. So how many of you have apps today that are listed on the App Exchange as ISVs? Great. Well, the process for listing a Lightning component on the Lightning Exchange is very similar. It'll be through the publishing console of the partner community, and you'll access that from your user menu. And this is where you'll create your listing. So we create a new listing here, and we've done so already for this demo for our speed dial component. And in this listing, this is where you'll upload text, media, different collateral to enrich your listing. And specifically in this component section, you'll want to link your managed package from your developer environment to this listing. And this is where you'll also submit for security review. You can also set up leads, trials, lead collection, pricing mechanisms, everything that you need, all those tools to run your business. And once you've passed security review, This is a flag from the Salesforce team that allows you to finally publish on the App Exchange. So viewing this listing is now live on the App Exchange, and it can reach those thousands of users that access the App Exchange every day.
Great, that's so exciting. So that was super easy. Valerie did it in like 5 minutes, so I think all of you guys will be able to do that too. She set up the listing. All you do is link the packaging org that has your component in it, and then you can set up some other distribution tools, which I'll talk about next.
Do we want to go through the LMA?
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, you might be asking too, as an ISV, how do I get notified when a customer installs or wants to install my component? And this is a great benefit of the ISV program, giving you that high-touch capability to reach your customers. And what we provide to ISVs is what we call a business org, which is a Sales Cloud environment that is enabled with certain features, and most notably, the license management app. So here I am as the ISV in a production environment that I'll call my business org. And the license management app allows me to, for every customer installation or trial request that I get from that Lightning component listing, generates both a lead and a license record in the LMA. So I can view certain speed dial installs since the time that I had listed it on the App Exchange, and this really allows me to be closer touched with my customers and close deals with these prospects. So we've really come full circle here from the process of distributing, or from developing to distributing, and finally the customer installation. So it's really great that our technology is able to enable our partners to be successful.
great. Yeah, now we'll move on to the other tools that are available in the distribution process. So in that publishing console, you guys saw the tabs that were pricing, leads, and trials. Those are other tools that the ISV program provides, which I'll talk about. So if you'd clicked on that trial tab, you can set up trials for your customers, which means if you want to charge for your component, but your customer isn't so sure and they want to try your component first to see if it's worth buying, they can do that through trials. All you have to do is set the number of days for the trial, and then we take care of the rest. So we handle all the technology in the back end. We sync it to the App Exchange, so it's super easy to use and super easy to set up, free for ISV partners. Another tab on there was pricing, and so you would click that tab to set up checkout. Checkout is a tool that we also provide partners that allows you to charge your customers. So it collects credit card information. And again, because it's synced to the App Exchange, it's super easy to use. They click Get It Now, type in their payment information, and then you get the notification and the payment right away. So Salesforce is all about asking our customers, right? We are a customer-obsessed company. We don't make any big decisions without first consulting customers. That's part of who we are. So we asked our customers how they want to be charged for components. What makes the most sense? What's going to make them want to use components more? And they gave us feedback that they want 2 ways to charge, only 2 ways. So either one time at install or annually. So we recommend one-time charge when they click install for kind of a smaller component, maybe a widget or a button or something, and then annually for maybe a bigger component that requires more maintenance and more work from the partner side. Another thing we got from the customer survey is that they don't want to have to assign licenses from components to all the users of the components. They just want site-wide, so everyone in their org has access to the component. Just makes it simpler. The whole theme of this is, keep it simple. So we've talked about the process of distributing, the tools available to distribute, and the last stage is manage. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what Valerie already showed, that license management app, and this is how you can manage your customers. These are the 4 or 5 tabs available. So you have insight into your customers, the people who click Get It Now who are not your customers yet. Maybe they're doing a trial phase. They come in as leads. You can see all the package versions of your component. You can see all the packages that you own. And then the subscribers tab is what I was talking about earlier, that subscriber support console where you can log in your customer's org. You can do that through the LMA, License Management App. All right, so recap. If you didn't remember much, remember these things. These are points from throughout this whole presentation. So in the building phase of your Lightning component, some things to remember are choose the type of component, be aware if your component is a global component or record scoped, and be aware of what that means for your customer. Put in your listing where they should add that component to their page, which page would work. Make sure you make some context-specific logic in your component. And then also build with security review and locker service in mind. A lot of partners just build willy-nilly, submit for security review, and they're like, oh, we forgot to make it secure. So if you use the guidance we give you from the very beginning, you're off on the right foot. So make sure you keep that in mind when building your components. The second step was packaging. So test your components in a target environment. Make sure it works as it should. Also use a managed package because all those tools and benefits of the ISV program only come when you use managed packages. And the last stage was distribution. So choose your pricing options. Set up that free trial because it's available, and if you're charging for your customers, who doesn't want it free first? That'll be a big selling point. Also, spend time creating your Lightning Exchange listing. Make it polished. For those of them who judge a book by its cover, if it doesn't look professional, they might not install your component. And then also utilize the license management app because you get insight into your customers and you can see what's going on, and it's just another way to connect to your customers. Great, so you guys are already off on the right foot. You already are developers. Some of you have already built Lightning components. This is new. The Lightning Exchange is new. It's exciting stuff, and the marketplace is open and available. So there's a lot of components that haven't been built. Customers are waiting for you guys to be the ones to build them and then publish them and then start making money off the things you're building and then reuse them and share them in the community. So this is a great place to be. You guys are lucky. And how do you get involved? Again, join the ISV program because we provide tools throughout every step of the way. So from the beginning, when your potential customer clicks, I want to try this for free, Trialforce is that technology. When they click, I want it for free, get it now, you get a lead, and you can view that using the license management app. Then they try it, they want to pay for it, so you collect their payment using Checkout, which is another tool we give you. And then you find a bug or you want to add a new feature to your component, you can push that automatically to your customers using push upgrades. So these are all the technical benefits for joining the ISV program. There's also program benefits from joining the ISV program. So once you become an ISV, you have access to the partner community. The partner community has tons of chatter groups, tons of resources, access to PMs. Basically, all of these slides will be there. A lot of content is there. Also, there's a group called Lightning and Components, and that'll be the prime chatter group for communicating about Lightning Components and the Lightning Exchange. So take note of that. It's called Lightning and Components. Another prime tool for you guys to communicate and collaborate about this kind of stuff is there's a Lightning developer forum on Developer-Force, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, so check out that discussion forum. There's also on the partner community something called App Academy, so you can learn about apps. You can collaborate with program staff, register for partner roadmap webinars, attend office hours, and there's also sales and marketing resources. So there's a lot on the partner community. And if you go to p.force.com/ISV program to learn more about the ISV program. Also, who doesn't love Trailhead? This whole conference is themed that way. So we have a badge of our own, or 3 of them, so you can get your ISV badges. So check those out. trailhead.salesforce.com/ISVforce_basics. And that's it. Any questions? Yeah. They can log a case to extend the trial, but we recommend that's only in off cases. But yeah, usually you set the trial and then contact them maybe a few days before their trial is over and then start asking them to pay. But it can be extended. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, yes. So something to know, which we mentioned, but we haven't driven home yet. So you can, if you have an existing app and it doesn't have Lightning components, you can create your component, add it to your existing app, create a new version, and then upgrade your managed package. So that's definitely an option and something you should do. This is just we explored the other case scenario more thoroughly. Yeah. They can, you can include custom objects in the Lightning components. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yes. Yeah. So if your component relies on another component, you can include those in a Lightning bundle, bundle of components. So your listing on the App Exchange, you would link all those components that need to be bundled together. And when your customer installs it, they get all those Lightning components that depend on each other. So yes. Yeah. You can include anything in your listing that depends on each other. So again, yeah, question was if I have multiple Lightning components that depend on each other, you can add them all to your listing, and the customer gets all of them when they install. No. I think is there a fee? I see program. No, I think you build in and then security review is the fee to kind of pass that threshold. But yeah, you can start building right now, and you sign up for a developer edition org and all that. So that's all free. Yeah.
Does the pricing correlate with the size of the customer?
The pricing of the component?
Yeah.
That's up to you. However you want to set that up. Yeah, so we don't have any restrictions or limitations. However you want to charge for your app, you guys can set that up on your own. You don't have to meet a certain qualification for pricing.
Because we're recommending that you license site-wide versus per seat, then you would determine the licensing based on the customer or what you expect for your average customer.
Is it possible to create public-facing Lightning apps?
Is it possible to create public-facing Lightning apps?
Yeah.
Yeah, once you pass security review, they'll be public-facing if you list them on the Lightning Exchange.
You can only use it inside of Salesforce. What I'm talking about is kind of like you create an app that your user can use without even knowing that it's Salesforce.
So that would be like Lightning out.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, so do you mean it's something that doesn't really look like Salesforce, or it's not within the Salesforce instance?
Salesforce to create an app.
Yeah.
Like you can just like give a normal website that they
Oh, okay, yeah.
and use the stuff that you created without knowing that
Yeah.
is the Salesforce platform.
So there's something called a technology called Lightning Out, and you guys can look that up. That allows you to use your Lightning components on external websites, so not within Salesforce. So there's more information on that on the partner community, and if you just Google it, you can read a lot about it. It's a new technology, so still up and coming, but it's pretty exciting.
For those use cases, though, maybe you've seen it before. It's like you have a Lightning component that's exposed in LinkedIn, for example, on the sidebar of LinkedIn. But that LinkedIn user that wants to see the contents of your component would still need to connect to their Salesforce instance to access that.
You cannot use it to make kind of like use the Salesforce as your.
So you want to essentially use the Salesforce SLDS, for example, to build a standalone component.
Yes, I use it already. So what I'm thinking is kind of you use this whole Salesforce infrastructure just as your backend, and then you create like an app that like just fetches the data and the user can use that without requiring Salesforce login, without even knowing about Salesforce.
Got it.
Kind of let's say you're creating like like
Right.
you want to create a front-end app that shows like a list of all your contacts, that people can see. Probably the Lightning out, right?
Right.
Yeah, Lightning Out might work if you would just set up kind of the user authentication process, and maybe you could customize the branding of the login page or something. So there's ways to work on. I'd ask your TE for specifics to look at your app and figure out what makes the most sense.
But you're always using the login.
Currently, what was that? Yeah, so yeah, that's not component specific. So we do have unauthenticated mechanisms to expose what you build on Salesforce to external, like purely public users. But currently that technology doesn't sit on Lightning, and we can talk about this afterwards offline.
And yeah. Sorry, yeah, there's a revenue structure. So whatever you charge your customers, we would get a percentage of that. It's fixed, right?
Yeah. I would recommend if you're an ISV today, talk to your Salesforce account team about that. And if not, then we can connect you with the right folks to get in touch
Yeah.
with the right
But it would
team.
be probably a fixed percentage. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So with push upgrades, you can choose who you want to push the upgrade to. You can schedule the push upgrade to push it at a later time. So yeah, you can select who you're pushing that upgrade to. You don't have to push it to everyone. Yeah. Yes, but being an ISV really just means creating a managed package. So once you create a managed package, you'll be an ISV, and that's how you can list your Lightning component on the Lightning Exchange. For a Lightning component, the only cost associated, I'm pretty sure, is the security review cost. So if you want to create a free Lightning component, you don't pay anything. You can just create a developer org, submit for security review for free, and then have it published on the Lightning Exchange. Yeah, so it's kind of a new thing. You're not allowed to use third-party frameworks in Lightning components themselves. We recommend you use our framework, and it's like kind of brand new, and some people have issues with it, but we're just letting you know now not to build with those third-party frameworks. You can build using libraries that are third-party, but not frameworks.
So we're working on approving things like the React and the Angular framework that works with Lightning components today and the Locker service. So you should be able to test it in a Summer 16 environment to see if those frameworks work currently. As of now, it may not be packageable for ISVs, but customers can currently use it.
Yeah, and Locker service will tell you, like, you cannot do this if you include it. And we can talk more later offline if you want. Any other questions? All right, thanks for coming.